The more we advance, the more complex solutions we build. Monotonous and repetitive tasks are useless and time consuming. We believe the technology of the future should be more humane and less chaotic. Good morning, everyone. My name is Luis Barcenas. I am the CIO of FastPass Rapid Transit, a startup company that is committed to transcend and change the way public transportation works. During the next couple of minutes, I will explain to you why you must invest in our company and how you can also be part of this change. First, let me start with some basic information on our offerings. The concept revolves around a fleet of autonomous vehicles or pods that are not on a dedicated rail, but on the same street as public transit. The pod can be requested via application or reserved at one of the FastPass stations. This solution provides complete freedom to the customer because there are not fixed schedules or restricted operating times. Availability should be 24/7. The vehicles can fit a maximum of 4 passengers, and the pod is no larger than a regular sized sedan. So, in essence, the offering is very similar to what other companies are doing, like Uber or Lyft, except that we're not introducing a driver at this point. The pods are completely autonomous and independent. Here is some key information that supports our standing in this venture. For example, we see that 4% of Miami residents use public transportation, and this has to do a lot with the dissatisfaction around what is currently offered. Every citizen in Miami-Dade owns a car instead of using public transportation because they find it not very efficient. We also are foreseeing that over 300,000 customers can potentially use our platform on a daily basis. If we include to this over 94% of crashes caused by human error on the streets, we definitely see an opportunity for autonomous technologies to reduce that number and improve on safety features as well. There are also many other initiatives that are similar to us are occurring on smaller platforms. Like for example, FIU is getting some momentum with this technology as they're going to be one of the first schools to introduce this on their campus. There's a big market opportunity here for industries like ours. Emerging technologies like Uber and Airbnb have come to change the game completely when it comes to public transportation and hotels. The autonomous car technology is introducing a question now which really is just about car ownership. Does it really make sense to own a car once we have full autonomous vehicles on the street that we can request on demand? These type of questions become more interesting for industries that support and live out of car ownership, like for example, insurance companies and maybe car shops and things of that nature. What would happen to all those industries when once owning a car, for example, is not that relevant or that important? Fast pass and rapid transit are things that are going to come down the road either from us or from other technologies or technology giants really that are already investing money on these platforms. We believe that fast pass rapid transit can be a pioneer in this industry and become one of the first ones to penetrate the market. Now, our offerings also include an opportunity to showcase the clean sources of power where these pods are going to be getting their energy from. We think of leveraging solar power and other clean sources of energy to maintain our fleet of cars and be as clean and eco-friendly as possible. For our market size and value, we're targeting all of South Florida with estimating like around 5 million users with a high penetration rate. We believe this is going to be a very trendy offering that a lot of millennials and young people are going to be very excited to use and test. And not only that, we're going to make it as easy and humanly friendly possible so that anybody can just use the application or just request a pod from the station without a problem. So once that penetration rate hits, we're talking about 400 million customers potentially if we take this to the scale of the whole nation. So we're talking about that times the average rate, which is around $8 and 73 cents. We're talking about a $3.4 billion industry that we're talking about here. Our customer base, as you can see from the graph, mainly it's going to be composed of slightly more male population. We're targeting basically a young segment of that population. Users are mainly concentrated within 16 and 24 years of age. We're talking about people that are more technology savvy and that are more used to have smart devices with them uh, people that know a bit about social networking, how to use basic applications. As you can see from the age perspective, there's still a quite interesting number from 25 to 34, as well as 35 to 44 as well. So we're basically covering a big chunk of the spectrum here when it comes to age. As far as income, we're talking about this population of income does not necessarily have to be from the high income bracket. Really, we're talking about that anybody with a mid income can is going to be able to afford and use the platform. As far as urban context, we're talking about that the majority resides in the suburban area. So we're talking about things like in Miami will be things like Brickell, and maybe the beach where you need to travel maybe some short distances, fast and without worrying about parking or anything of that nature. There are many current problems with the whole infrastructure and public transportation in Miami and overall South Florida. The current offerings are not very good, and most of the customers are not very satisfied with those. So there's a very basic question. I mean, why wait for the bus to drop everyone else off? Why drive around in a carbon dioxide spewing vehicle driven by who knows who? If you follow your stats around, driving culture and whatnot, you will see that South Florida, and especially Miami, has one of the worst drivers in the country. So right now, with the current problem is, we have a slow and often inaccessible mass transit system in South Florida. There's a lot of traffic going on. I mean, if you go into one of the main highways around 5 or 6 p.m., you'll see that it takes hours for you to get home and get to your destination. Not only that, but there's also ongoing constructions and accident causing a lot of delays. So the whole situation with the traffic, it's definitely a problem that we're trying to solve with FastPass Rapid Transit. So what is our solution to this? Well, FastPass Rapid Transit is offering a direct service with no transfers or stop. These are lightweight pods with lightweight impact on the environment. These pods are always on demand. They're available 24/7. They don't running on a particular schedule, so they're available all the time. They're safe and reliable, and they don't introduce errors from a human conductor. And so specifically talking about the details of the pods, these pods are lightweight pods powered by self-driving technology. These are docked and locked at a strategically placed electric charging station across Miami-Dade County. Each station will host around 5 pods when they're not in use, and an application will basically allow a customer to just hail or request a pod from his or her location. The program will assess whether to send their nearest pod, which may be completing a ride, or to unlock a pod from the nearest charging station. This allows a lot of flexibility really for the customers to see how they really want to request their drive or their vehicle. It also introduces more opportunities for the pods to complete multiple tasks and complete multiple rides within a full charge. And what is our business model for this? Well, the main source of revenue for this will be the pod transportation. The average fare that we're calculating is around $8.73 per ride. Each pod can operate a bit over 1,300 rides a month, and we're estimating around 250,000 a month in revenue. And we're going to be operating around 47% capacity for the first year. There's also an opportunity for supplementary source of revenue, and this is basically advertising. The same strategies that the yellow taxis do with advertisement put on their vehicles, we can use the same thing. Each pod we basically can showcase to advertisements, and we're estimating around $34,000 a month in revenue. So in order for us to win the customer's attention and business, our strategy is to stand out. The pods are readily available with little to no wait time. And we're talking about a wide scale demographic region that we plan to cover. University population, downtown Miami and Florida, airport transit, highly condensed areas where population really moves a lot is where we plan to deploy this solution. So we want to stand out by being the only company providing transportation operating with full autonomous vehicles. This will definitely bring the attention, caught the attention of many people within the region. Now, the financial information, we made some key assumptions here. So we began with less than 1% of our monthly market penetration. Later, we assumed that over during the first year, we will have a 6% growth in the amount of riders. And then we will have an 8% increase for the years two till the fifth year. Later, we assumed the average length of fare is around 4 miles, translating to an average revenue of $8.73 per fare. So the variable expense is only 19 cents per fare due to pods being electric vehicles and efficient. This is our forecast for the next 5 years. which basically describes the same information that was presented in the previous slide. It shows an increase of between 6 and 8% from the amount of riders, which increases our profit for the following years. This chart right here shows a very important information around the utilization of technologies and services like Uber and Lyft, and now the commonly known yellow taxi as well. So we see information here moving from May 2015 till September 2016. This is information for more than a year, and you can see the trend of Uber technology is really just growing at an exponential rate, and the utilization of the yellow taxi is really decreasing. Other companies like competitors like Lyft are also seeing a trend in the positive area as well. So we believe that this is going to continue to grow. This is going to continue to be a trend. And once we introduce technologies like autonomous vehicles, it's going to definitely get skyrocket and make these services a lot more friendly and a lot more useful. And so, what does the competition look like? I mean, at this point, really, there are not major competitors in the autonomous area. There are a lot of research and a lot of technology giants investing on this, like Google, Uber, Apple, Lyft. All these companies are looking at autonomous vehicles just to reduce the overhead of having, human beings driving these vehicles. There's an additional overhead to that. So they're not really a competition or any major competitor right now in the autonomous vehicles area, which also allows us to have a lower rates per ride than Uber and taxis. We don't have to spend a lot of money on overhead regards to pay, the drivers. Initially, we'll plan to have around 45 full-time autonomous pods working full-time compared to Uber and taxi, who run on various schedules. So what is it that we're really asking from you? Well, the founders of our corporation have already invested $5 million in capital in exchange for Class A shares of FastPass Rapid Transit stock. Our business plan calls for a minimum investment of $8 million in order to account for startup costs and cash flow purposes during initial operations. So we're basically seeking for $3 million in funding for a 30% stake in our company. This funding will allow us to properly expand our footprint in Miami-Dade County and provide us the ability to flourish as a company. The investor who provides this funding will also receive Class A shares, which cannot be diluted without three-quarters majority vote from the board of directors. This investor will also receive two board seats within our C-suite, totaling seven total chairs on our board.